I'm BRANDI. KRUSE. 2025 has been quite the year for radical left-wing extremism in the United States. Of course, there was the assassination of Charlie Kirk, the unrest outside ICE facilities, and even attacks on federal agents and thwarted terror plots. The good news is the President of the United States has labeled Antifa a terror organization, and his administration has vowed to take it down.
Oh my God. Wow.
I've spent 15 years covering Antifa and radical left-wing political violence on the West Coast, from the Occupy movement to May Day riots to the takeover of 6 blocks of Seattle in the summer of 2020.
Fox News, man.
We're not on. Nobody's saying you.
At the time, I was a local television reporter.
But keep rolling. Keep rolling. Keep going. Can you not touch me? Don't touch me. Q13. What did you think was going to happen? Hey guys, we've been out here for 4 hours tonight.
What's up?
Yeah, I recognize you. We'll do it here. We're getting your steps in.
Off, Karen. Off, Karen. Get your hands up.
In all those years, little was done by local leaders to hold those engaged in political violence on the left accountable. Some even encouraged it, downplayed it, and excused it.
How long do you think Seattle in those few blocks looks like this?
I don't know. We could have the summer of love.
I have not heard anything about that.
What is your opinion, though, based on Seattle, Spokane? Is most of the violence from the far left and Antifa so far? I know my colleague asked about these, folks who are dressed in black right now who are causing all the chaos. I was there Wednesday evening reporting. I almost got hit by a mortar by one of these guys in black goggles.
My opinion is I know in Spokane there were multiple arrests. Hope I have my numbers right, but I think 20 to 30 arrests, if I recall correctly, in Spokane and in Seattle. There were multiple arrests. So from my standpoint, I don't care who it's coming from. If you are engaging in lawful behavior, you're going to be held accountable. That's our message today. That's my message in a statement that was put out yesterday. We're going to be reinforcing that message as well. That's our message with our law enforcement partners. So wherever it's coming from, I'm focused on making sure we hold folks accountable. Thanks for the question.
Will you condemn Antifa?
I'm condemning anyone who engages in lawful behavior, and they'll be held accountable.
You're my leader. Tell these people to stand down and stop assaulting me and taunting my civic servant hero, Tim Emerson. Right now, this park we've cleaned. These are violent Antifa land people. Tell them to be peaceful.
So it's no surprise that the same faction of extremists feel more emboldened than ever, encouraged by politicians who share their hatred of all things Donald Trump.
You fascists! You fascists! You fascists!
This was the scene outside a DHS facility south of Seattle in June as activists tried to stop the lawful detention of illegal aliens. I was on scene for 30 seconds before the mob closed in.
Hey, so when you touch me with that sign,
Just don't touch.
when you touch me with that sign, it's assault, okay?
Go home.
So you're okay to be in my face, but don't touch me with that sign.
Just shut up. No one's doing somebody like that. God,
You support assaulting women who are sitting here doing nothing?
dude, just shut up. Get the out of here.
A sign touched you.
Yeah, that's assault.
Right here. So as a grown man, you're in support of assaulting women. I just want to be clear about that.
Assaulting women with the cardboard sign. Don't be just.
I do want to be clear about that, though.
Hands off. Hands off.
You're not. That's not something a man does.
It's all something a man does.
I mean, you can't even show your face. If you feel so good about it, show your face. Take your mask down. Show your face. Get the out of here. Nobody wants
The masked extremist who tried to blind me with wasp killer has never been identified, let alone arrested.
Stop!
Neither have the black-clad rioters that beat a good Samaritan who came to help me.
They're assaulting someone. They're assaulting an innocent guy. What's wrong with you? Don't come back. Stay in Seattle, Katie. Useless.
At the same time, similar scenes were playing out in Portland outside the ICE facility there. Independent journalists like Katie Daviscourt spent months on the ground exposing Antifa.
She just hit me in the face. Katie was at the January 6th riot. Oh my God. Katie was at the January 6th riot. She just hit me in the face.
Remain on the sidewalk or across the street. Anyone, to include the press, trespassing on federal property is subject to arrest.
I made 2 trips to Portland to see the unrest for myself, the first in October.
You're not even from here, are you?
Can I ask you what you're doing here?
Yes, this is my city.
Where's this?
This is my neighborhood. What are you doing in my neighborhood, mother?
What would your message be to some of the people in that building who it is their neighborhood too and they're frustrated?
I'm sorry, if you care about your community, you'll shut your goddamn mouth, or you'll be on the front lines with us, protecting more people.
On a second trip to Portland, I got a glimpse of things from the other side, heading inside the ICE facility to get a behind-the-scenes look at how they were managing months of protests that had been mostly ignored by city leaders.
So is this like a 24-hour sort of operation dealing with the protests, would you say?
It's from the morning almost until like 1, 2 o'clock, depending on the day. And I would say Thursday to Sunday is the most busiest compared to Monday to Wednesday, so yes.
I mean, you guys must be wondering sort of if there's going to be any end to it.
We really don't know. We hopefully with the weather stuff changes, but really right now we're thinking it's going to be for forever, I guess.
For the most part, you've got federal protective services dealing with the protesters. To what extent are you guys able to do your job and continue to carry out immigration enforcement?
So immigration enforcement, regardless of what's happening outside this building, our mission is going to continue. We're going to continue arresting illegals. It doesn't matter. The protest is not going to stop us.
So it's fair to say that if they think that this is somehow thwarting lawful immigration enforcement, that it's not.
It won't. Yeah. Our mission is to arrest illegal, and we're going to continue. The protest or not, we're going to continue with the mission. It doesn't matter if they're here day and night. We are still arresting people.
Just to be frank, I can't imagine coming to this work environment every day. I mean, I know you don't have a choice, but what's the morale like in here?
I'm not gonna speak for everybody. For me, at one point, it's like when you live close to a train station or close to a railroad. At the beginning, you listen to the train coming with a lot of noise, but at one point, you kind of fall asleep and you don't even pay attention anymore. Yeah. So. I mean, they make noise sometimes. If I'm writing a report in my office, I take a break. I go and do a little walk around the facility, and then I go back to my computer and complete my report.
While West Coast politicians downplayed the violence, President Donald Trump invited independent journalists, including myself, to the White House for a roundtable on Antifa.
It should be clear to all Americans that we have a very serious left-wing terror threat in our country. Radicals associated with the domestic terror group Antifa that you've heard a lot about lately, and I've heard a lot about them for 10 years. And other far-left extremists have been carrying out a campaign of violence against ICE agents and other officials charged with enforcing federal law. And in Portland, Oregon, Antifa thugs have repeatedly attacked our offices and laid siege to federal property in an attempt to violently stop the execution of federal law.
Mr. President, BRANDI, KRUSE, you're going to hear us be very fired up today, and you can tell, and it's because some of us have been covering Antifa for 15 years and have never had anyone in a position of authority even acknowledge their existence. The single most powerful thing you've done to deal with this scourge has been acknowledging that Antifa is a real thing. I genuinely believe there would be people at these tables who would be dead today and would have been killed in Portland had you not called them a terror organization and said we're going to bring the full weight of the federal government to bear. With me in D.C. was Andy Ngo, author of the book Unmasked, Inside Antifa's Radical Plan to Destroy Democracy. Andy had twice been violently assaulted by Antifa in Portland. The threats against his life were so serious that he moved out of the country.
Are you feeling, Andy?
It feels a bit surreal.
Yeah, what do you want to most tell the president today?
I want to express gratitude. Yeah, because I think an administration has a million things to do, and even though this is very important, there's also other very important things. But the fact that his administration is prioritizing this, I have a lot of appreciation and gratitude for that.
It was a significant moment considering many in mainstream news have, for years, painted Andy Ngo as the extremist rather than those who tried to kill him.
I got to share this with you in a little video preview you posted when we were walking to the White House, that the immediate feeling is immense gratitude. I've been on this beat for a very long time, and there have been journalism mentors that I've had in the past who let me know that I should focus on a different beat. They just didn't think that there would be enough to continue reporting on this for years, that it came at such heavy cost to me because of the attacks and nearly dying and continued death threats. They just direct recommended that I look into reporting on other things. But I kept on it just because there's something going on in the US. I mean, on one level, you have the violent militancy that you and I have faced, unfortunately. But there's also this cultural shift on the mainstream left that, in my view, creates this environment where the violent militants feel emboldened. You know, why wouldn't they feel emboldened? They get away. I mean, nobody's been arrested for the assaults on you. Nobody's been arrested for the assaults on me. It doesn't matter that it's caught in HD 1080p 4K video. It doesn't matter. It's just they can get away with impunity. So it's created this environment now where when the violence flares up, you have violence that can go on for weeks and weeks, and people are injured, journalists are assaulted, and in some instances, people get killed or suffer quite life-threatening injuries. And so I continued on it, and this White House roundtable we were at, it was just a vindication of my work, I felt. Wow, like it reached literally the most powerful person in the world politically.
Hey guys, it's been a whirlwind 48 hours.
Also at the White House with us was independent journalist Jonathan Cho. Cho spends much of his time covering the West Coast homeless crisis. During the roundtable, Cho spoke of connections between Antifa and the far-left organizers who try to disrupt sweeps of homeless encampments.
And I find it oftentimes those worlds intersect. And hot off the presses, what I wanted to bring to your attention today is a report from a Capital Research Center here in DC in conjunction with Discovery Institute. They just put out this study right now. And what it shows is that Antifa is heavily embedded in the homeless and housing nonprofit sector. In many cases, the homeless industrial complex is running cover for Antifa. Antifa is benefiting from American tax dollars, and they're essentially being used as the muscle. Let me give you an example. There's a group called Stop the Sweeps in many US cities right now. They get in front of encampment sweeps. What they're doing quietly is they're bringing in Antifa militants to manufacture a crisis to make the police look bad. Another group right now that is behind Antifa and working with Antifa very closely, based on the research that we have right now that we're going to give to you and your team, are the Democratic Socialists of America, also known as DSA. Again, these far-left progressive groups tend to be aligning themselves with Antifa.
Much of the roundtable focused on the importance of understanding who is funding Antifa and how militants plan their actions.
We're not going to stop at just arresting the violent criminals we can see in the streets. Fighting crime is more than just getting the bad guy off the streets. It's breaking down the organization brick by brick. Just like we did with cartels, we're going to take the same approach, President Trump, with Antifa. Destroy the entire organization from top to bottom.
What we are doing at the FBI is simple. It does not require rocket science. We are following the money. Money never lies. And that's what it's going to take to bring down this network of organized criminal thugs, gangbangers, and yes, domestic terrorists, because that's what they are.
Meanwhile, Democrats and the media still refuse to acknowledge Antifa's existence, arguing a lack of structure or leadership means it's not a real thing. That is, of course, obtuse.
Frankly, I could not care any less what any of you have to say about this meeting.
Could not care any less. We're not here for you. I'm not here to convince any of you that Antifa is a real thing, because if you have not come to that conclusion by now, you are never going to come to that conclusion because you don't want to see it. And you're going to go and you're going to say it's a bunch of right-wing conservative influencers who are here spinning a tale. I was one of you. I was a mainstream reporter in Seattle for 10 years. I was a TV reporter on the streets doing my job, and I was still assaulted by Antifa. So it's not about being conservative, it's about people who go there and show what they're doing.
Antifa's effectiveness relies on the fact that it is a decentralized movement, but that doesn't mean there isn't coordination. Here's one example of how that plays out. So this whole area that's now filthy, looks like a homeless encampment, was cleared by Portland. When I was in Portland for the second time, I was capturing video of an Antifa aid tent near the ICE facility when the militant you see there, dressed in black, assaulted me and broke my camera. What happened next was carefully orchestrated.
So this guy who just assaulted me changed behind the thing.
Antifa militants hid the suspect behind a tent where they changed clothes, then they moved in unison to a nearby Antifa safe house.
And now they're leading him away, so they helped him change.
Jonathan Cho followed them. So is that guy he's wearing the keffiyeh?
He's wearing the keffiyeh.
He changed clothes up front?
Yep. Hi, did you assault BRANDI KRUSE? Yeah, why did you assault BRANDI KRUSE? Why are you assaulting females?
Oh yeah, Daddy.
So the guy in the keffiyeh looks like a male, wearing black shoes, camo. They're claiming maybe it's a female, not sure. Being protected by Antifa. Overweight. This is the person who assaulted BRANDI KRUSE. And right now there are no officers in sight. If you're going to assault women, why don't you show your face if you're going to assault women? Let me see your face. Again, this person wearing the camo jacket assaulted BRANDI KRUSE, now being protected by his comrades. And like I said, they're going into the safe house. This is the proof, ladies and gentlemen, that Antifa uses a safe house. There is coordination with people in this building.
Portland police knew of the existence of the safe house for months, but never did anything about it and repeatedly refused to enter to arrest assault suspects. The exact same scenario played out after Katie Davis Court was assaulted a few months earlier.
After the attack, I immediately went to three Portland police officers who refused to detain the suspect. I took the time to chase down the suspect in the streets, had her held for 35 minutes. I was waiting for Portland police to come, and they never came.
While many of us on the panel agree that there is a lot of work to be done to disrupt Antifa in any sort of meaningful way, the federal government has billed several large cases this year involving left-wing terrorism. The Department of Justice secured guilty pleas from several Antifa militants after a shooting outside an ICE facility in Texas in July wounded a police officer. More recently, the feds disrupted a terror plot being planned by a group that calls itself the Turtle Island Liberation Front. They were arrested while getting ready to test bombs in the desert.
Law enforcement found multiple posters and materials associated with Turtle Island Liberation Front, including posters stating, quote, "Death to America, long live Turtle Island and Palestine," and quote, "Death to ICE, Turtle Island Liberation Front." In Page's residence, law enforcement found a copy of the detailed bomb attack plan. This case is another reminder about the dangers that radicalized Antifa-like groups pose to public safety and the rule of law.
But at the same time, many street-level acts of violence and vandalism are still going unpunished. Seattle police did very little when Antifa militants rioted night after night outside the federal building back in June.
And the crowd wasn't scared at all. They came from where they'd started a fire, marched up the street, confronted Seattle police directly. And then they lit off one of these massive fireworks right in the middle of the Seattle police bike line. I mean, I would be shocked if officers didn't get injured. You see a couple arrests happening behind me.
Assistant United States Attorney General Harmeet Dillon tells me that even with the terror designation on Antifa, the feds are limited in what cases they can take.
Majority of
crime and police power in our country does reside in the local and state level. Federal government is not super police who get to come in and enforce local and state laws if the local and state governments don't do it. Our jurisdiction is limited. And so we have to find a box that this conduct fits into. And sometimes a simple street assault that isn't connected to other crimes or part of a conspiracy is not something that the federal government can come in and do anything about. We're not going to. We don't have the resources to. We don't have the jurisdiction to do it, and the federal court's not going to allow us to do it. So I think people need to understand that when we elect our local and state governments, it really has consequences. And so that's a huge problem. Now, the Department of Justice does bear some blame in a way for some policing practices writ large in the United States, because the Civil Rights Division has gone after police for excessive force and police brutality and are making too many arrests. And so now the default setting is a very defensive one and very passive one in policing generally. Even though police, I think, go into policing to do the right thing and do their jobs, you have local leaders. And then you have politics like you see here in D.C., where the police chief was under pressure to make it look less crimey. So she, allegedly underreported and misclassified certain crimes to make it look less dangerous in D.C. than it actually is. And that's a political decision where even the cops want to make the arrests and the charges, and then somebody at the bean counter level in the front office changes with a few keystrokes how we perceive it. So DOJ opened an investigation into that, leading to the resignation of the police chief here in D.C. And we go after these types of low-level corruption issues wherever we can find them. But ultimately, we have to be able to connect crimes to a conspiracy or some other violation of federal law, like I articulated, to bring it under federal purview.
For her part, outgoing Seattle City Attorney Ann Davison says her office is at the mercy of police and what cases they refer. Why weren't those cases being adjudicated?
Well, it would be probably a combination of what was the quality of the report? Like, did we have enough evidence that we could move on, right?
Yeah.
That's sometimes really the piece. And so when there were protest cases, again, it's just like, do we have the evidence? Is everything there? Have we seen these people before? And if we've seen them before, like, we absolutely are making sure we're doing something. If we've never seen them before, and then, it is a real, maybe we looked at, should we be using our resources that way? But it really is just on a case-by-case basis.
I say yes, you should be using your resources.
Yeah.
I mean, they've wreaked havoc on the city for so long, and they've been able to get away with so many things. And the point I always made is, when I started covering these types of protesters, they would be, breaking a couple windows here and there at like Nike and whatever it was, and, kind of yelling at the cops. And then they were lighting cop cars on fire, and then they were hurting people, and then they were blocking I-5, and they were blocking the access to the airport, and then they were taking over 6 blocks of the city. And it's like, I feel like they've been allowed to get away with it for so long because the police and prosecution side just has not been there.
Yeah. I agree with a lot of that. Most of that would not have come to my office, like right on the state highway, et cetera, things like that. Putting a police car on fire, that would not come to my office. So many of the things at that level, I would not see, right? That would just not be my space.
More serious cases in Seattle go to the King County Prosecuting Attorney's Office. That's where a known Antifa militant appeared in court after being caught on camera assaulting independent journalist Cam Higbee.
Let him go.
But even then, it took an immense amount of public pressure to bring attention to Cam's case and ultimately bring charges.
Right now, the federal building is in complete anarchy. SPD has told several people that they will not be intervening tonight. I reported this guy, Tyler Hahn, H-A-H-N, also known as Tyler Stubbs, S-T-U-B-B-S, 3 weeks ago, that he threatened to murder me. He said that he's going to bring a gun to the next protest and that I better not show up. Today, he was able to identify me, and three of him and his friends, all three of them, jumped me. They held me down, they punched me in the head, and they beat the shit out of me. I deployed mace. I was able to regain my belongings that they knocked out of my pockets before they were able to steal them. But this is what happens when SPD refuses to intervene. They said that they were just going to let them tucker themselves out. They were lighting fires under moving vehicles, occupied vehicles that were stopped in traffic because they were blocking it. They lit several fires up and down the street. They were throwing fireworks at moving traffic. In what world are these things acceptable.
The truth is, the media's watering down of left-wing political violence is a major obstacle in dismantling it. And cities that see the most Antifa activity are run by Democrats, who have little motivation to call out violence from their own side, especially when Antifa infiltrates otherwise legitimate and mostly peaceful protest movements. That's the genius of Antifa. They use the cover of movements like BLM, Occupy, workers' rights, immigrant rights, so they can carry out acts of violence while knowing the media will refuse to vilify the underlying cause. After years of watching this go unaddressed in cities like Seattle and Portland, it seems unlikely to change, which is why I told President Trump and members of his cabinet that we are counting on them to do what the left will not.
This is what I care about. We have 3.5 years. Nothing is guaranteed, although I think if Democrats keep it up, we'll probably have Republican presidents for the next 3 decades. But nothing is guaranteed, and so what I want to see over the next 3.5 years is a full court press to dismantle Antifa once and for all in a meaningful way.
You fascists! You fascists!
I'm Brandi KRUSE. Thanks for watching. For more of Undivided, follow us across social media platforms. And to support the show, go to undividedpod.com, undividedpod.com, and click on the banner that says support the show.